Hello, everybody. It is me, Classfin, and today will be what is most likely the first of several reviews of Forza Horizon 5 I will be doing. As this is a game I feel like will require me to revisit it in the future. Future reviews are probably just going to be me talking about my opinion on what's changed, or just giving my thoughts on what's changed, and then changing my score based on that. Um, and the next after this one will probably most likely be whenever there's like a major change or when the first DLC drops. And also, two things as quick housekeeping. All this footage you're seeing is recorded on the Xbox One S and the PC. Second, I apologize for mispronouncing any names. Last time I was super duper fluent in Spanish was end of elementary school, and then I went into middle school and took some Spanish classes, but I just didn't vibe with them, with the Spanish classes in middle school. So I know some Spanish, and the most coherent thing I can say is Hola, mi llamo Classifen y tú, which I believe translates to Hello, my name is Classifen, how are you? I can also count a little bit in Spanish. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, nueve, and then I forgot the rest. And then I know some other just random words. Muy bien, which means very good. Elefante, which means elephant. Coche, which means car. But we're going to get into it with me talking about the format of this review. So, here is how the format of this video is going to work. First, I'm going to talk about the things that I liked and thought were good about Horizon 5. Then, I'm going to get into the bad, which are just some of my more minor gripes with the game, things that I didn't like. And then we're going to get into the things that I personally want to see changed. And then after that, we're going to wrap it all up, and I'm going to give you my review score. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. So, as I said above, we're going to be starting with the good. And there's a lot of things that I really liked about the game. So, we're just going to get right into it with the driving, which makes up basically any racing game. And in any racing game should feel good. And I'm happy to say that from my experience, it's super fun to just drive around. It's super enjoyable to just drive around. And when everything is working as it should, it is such a fun game to drive in. And there's also been some improvements over 4 that I really like to the driving. Like, first, the electric cars. So in 4, the electric cars were super duper gimped. They were gimped because there's 2 draws really to electric cars. The no gas, or like you don't have to go to a station and fill up your gas tank. You just have to charge the thing up, when you're not using it. And the instant acceleration that they have. And that, they had to gimp the acceleration a lot in 4 to balance them with the non-electrics in 4. So they were really, really gimped in 4. But in 5, You pull that trigger, you press that gas pedal on your wheel, they get up and go. But there's a downside to this. So, the nice thing about electric motors is they're light. They're really light, and the cars that they're in are quite light. But to kind of balance the near instant acceleration, they are occasionally a handful, and they can be really tricky to drive, and it takes a good bit of practice to master them. Another thing that I like is the drifting. A lot of cars, you don't even need to turn off the traction control or the ABS to get them to slide. Either you just pop the handbrake and let the rear go a little bit, or they just on command slide for you. And as I already stated, genuinely, when everything is running great and the game's not having any issues, it is a blast to play and just drive around and go race. The next thing that was really good, in my opinion, is the car selection. And there's a little something for everyone. Everything from zippy little daily drivers like, the Ford Focus, like the massive amount of Subarus, the several years of the Volkswagen Golf, the M3, just there's tons of little fun cars that are like daily drivers that you'd see out on the road yourself if you were to actually go out and go drive. And if that's not your thing, they've still got you covered with sports cars like the Audi R8, the Nissan GTR R35, the Toyota Isdaro Supra, and tons of other supercars and sports cars and like Miatas and all that stuff. And then they have tons of classic rally cars. They have like the old Escorts. They have the Audi Group Bs. They have the Mini. Speaking of Mini, they have two of my favorite cars in the game. They're they made it over from Horizon 4 and the older games too. The X-Raid Mini, which is the Dakar like full car class, and the X-Raid Buggy, which I really enjoy driving. They have weird things like the Unimog, PLP50, Peel Trident, which, there's drift tunes for them even. They have the RWB Porsches. They have some of the most desirable hypercars in the world in the game. There really is a little something for everyone. So next is the setting of Horizon 5, which is Mexico. And in comparison to 4, it is a lot better than the UK. With the UK, everything kind of felt samey. It was just all forests and all green everywhere, and just like greenery everywhere, and the colors were super duper drab, and it was kind of dark. But look at 5, and it's much more vibrant in terms of diversity of locations in Horizon 5 on the map. more brighter, which I really like. There's a lot more color all over the place. And kind of like the cars, there's a little something for everybody. Like, if you like tight and twisty technical roads and doing little street races around cities, there's Guanajuato, which has not just some really good just racing roads, but also has a nice little bit of elevation because you have the city and then you have the drains that you can drive around on, which is really cool. Also, the city of Guanajuato is home to a really fun cross-country track. And if you haven't gone on it, I recommend you try it out because it is a fun little cross-country track. And speaking of off-roading, do you like off-roading? Do you like things like the Baja 1000? Do you like desert racing? If you like all that stuff, the desert in this game is fantastic for going out and doing like desert racing with like the buggies, the Unimog, the Dakar cars, the Dakar vehicles. It's really good for that. And there is a lot of obstacles that you're going to have to drive around, and it's still a blast to just rip around the desert. And it is really diverse because it's not just all sand, because it's a living desert. So part of it is is dunes, but a lot of it has, cacti and all sorts of desert stuff growing in it. Also, it has a track, one of two tracks. And speaking of tracks, if you like tracks, or like just kind of like circuit racing, and maybe are a fan of the Lego Speedway from Horizon 4 Lego Speed Champions, the main festival in this game is a racetrack. If you like drifting, there is 3 good sets of switchbacks in this game. 2 of them, the ones up on the Gran Caldera volcano, are not only, something you could easily link together, but also both of them have speed zones on, or not speed zones, the drift zones on them. And they are some of the longest drift zones in the game. Also, you could take a rally car up them really easily and have fun with a rally car, because one side is heavily dirt road, and it's a not very wide dirt road. So you can have some fun going up that in a rally car. If you like top speed, there is a really good highway in this game. In fact, that highway in Horizon 5 is the longest in any Horizon game. So you can just blast down it. Now next, we're going to do one of my other favorite things about this, and that is customization. And that's not just for cars, that's also for the actual player. First, we're going to talk about the cars. Body kits. There's so many more body kits, it's not even funny. It's actually crazy how many body kits there are. There's everything from simple, little just, wide bodies with just, the little extra, flaring on the fenders, to full aerodynamic reworks. Like, one of the body kits for the RX-7. One is effectively a time attack body kit, and the other is more of a drift body kit. And speaking of those two, sometimes there will be cars that have such nice body kits, you actually end up buying multiple of the same car just to have a car with one kit and then another car for something else with a different kit. Like me, I have the two RX-7s. One has the more drift body kit, and the other one has the more time attack body kit that I really like. And then player customization. They added some cool things, like the arms, like the prosthetic arms, which I have on my character in the game. I gave a prosthetic arm mostly because I thought it looked cool. Like, to me, people with prosthetic arms, like, I think they look cool. Also, this is a little nitpick, and it's something I wish they would add, more because I have type 1 diabetes myself, but, like, I think it'd be cool to have a, like a type 1, like, bracelet thing, or have, like, have a visible, like, set on your player. But that's mostly just because I have diabetes, and I think it'd be cool to have some representation in the game. And finally, to end off the good, some things that were just kind of extra that I thought were good. One, I can finally fully mute the radio and have almost no festival speakers. Blimps still play music, which is not super annoying for me. It's not too bad. Only really affects me if I'm streaming. But other than that, everything else is perfectly fine. And even in the Horizon Arcade stuff, that's only before it starts that it's playing, and once you get in, there is no more blimp. It's just kind of you have a marked area on the map to go to. Speaking of Horizon Arcade, that's another one of my favorite things is Horizon Arcade. Horizon Arcade is such a breath of fresh air from the Forzathon lives, and now that they've fixed it so that depending on how many people you have in your group or are in the area before the start, it scales how much you need. They are a blast to do. And now they've also added the destruction, the drift, actually wreckage, not destruction, but the wreckage ones where you have to hit the pinatas, the drift, the drift ones. In fact, the only real complaint I have about them is there is no indication of when they're starting, compared to 4, where Forzathon Live you always know when it's about to start, because there will be a thing that'll pop up on top of your screen telling you, hey, this is where the Forzathon Live is, go to it, you have this long. And even if you show up after it's already started, if you get in there, you can still participate. With some of the some of the arcades, I would rather it be where you can drop in to a in progress arcade. And yeah. And that will be all for that section. So next up is the bad. And this is things that are just kind of mediocre or could use a little bit of work. And to start it off, I want to talk about the music. So for context, my favorite station is Bass Arena, and I basically leave it on Bass Arena all the time. I'll occasionally, if I'm flipping through the radio and I hear a song I like, I'll stop on that and I'll listen to that song, but then I'll flip to another station. But the soundtrack in 5 is kind of lacking. And even on Bass Arena by itself, there's only a couple songs that I really like. Jungle Fury by Riot. Margarita, which is No Taker and Cloud 9. Or Cloud... Is it Cloud 9 or Cloud 9? I know it's one of the two. Channel 42. Channel 43, because the one in the game's the sequel to Channel 42, which is Wolfgang Gartner and Deadmau 5. Love Jungle by Laszlo. Colors, which is Grant featuring Gianu. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I don't know how to pronounce it. And then, yeah, I think that's it. So the problem really is, so you do have a lot, like multiple songs from the same label. Like a bunch of those are Monster Cat. But even in previous games, you would have multiple songs on the soundtrack from the same artist. Like, so for example, Jungle Fury is off the same album as Overkill, because they're both on the Dogma Resistance album. So I think it would have been cool to have both Overkill and Jungle Fury, because both are fantastic tracks. And if you haven't ever listened to them, go listen to them both. Seriously, they are really good. Channel 43. Why can't we also have Channel 42? Channel 42 is an awesome song. And it's really good. Why can't we bring back songs from the old games? Like with Wolfgang, there's Il America, which is like an 8-minute song, but it's really good. And they're not and with like Jungle Fury, they're not opposed to putting long songs in the game. Also, some of the music placements don't make sense to me, at least. Like so Easy, which is I know it's one of the artists on it is Porter Robinson. So the last time he had a song in the game, which was Horizon 1 with Language, he was on Bass Arena. Same artist, same genre, is on Pulse. To me, that doesn't make sense, because that's his thing. He makes electronic music. And that's an electronic song, or it's a dance song, which is Bass Arena. Next is the paint editor. So, firstly, I'm just going to say this. If you're one of those people that can make crazy stuff, and like the crazy detailed paint schemes in the default, and just in the paint editor in Forza, you are awesome. please keep doing it. You are better with an Xbox controller than I am with a drawing tablet. But in some other stuff, they have said that they want to try and get the Paint editor closer to actual illustration / photo manipulation software. But here's the thing: the way that you're going to get closest to that really is adding tablet support, or at a bare minimum adding a drawing tool, and then allowing us to unfold the car like a Photoshop template, almost like how Iverson does it, like how Assetto does it, like how R Factor does it. In fact, I would love to see a thing where you could just export the car out to Photoshop and use the car unfolded and unwrapped and everything as a template in Photoshop, and then have like a file size limit, and then you can, export it back into Forza. But I still think the Paint editor is still fine. It still works good. I just wish that they would do a little more with it. Next is Event Lab. So my complaint with this, it's tiny. It really Event Lab's good, but it's kind of a nitpick, and that is, it is extremely hard to place items with a mouse. Like, if you're going to build an Event Lab, you do not try and build with a mouse, even though it feels like the mouse would be more precise. The Xbox controller is 10 times easier in Event Lab to place props. It's so much easier. And finally is game performance. So when you're in solo, or like you're not in a multiplayer race or in like a trial or in a tour, and you're just driving around on your own, or you're in a single player race, across both the Xbox One S and on the PC, for me, it's been fantastic. I'll see drops. I'll see FPS drops. But on PC, I think with it, a lot of those might be down to settings, and I haven't, finally tuned them well enough to where the game needs to be, even though it's where I think it needs to be. But, it's not going to be perfect. I understand it. It's not going to be perfect. And they have fixed a lot of the glitches. However, there is still some. Some examples is you boot up the game, you go into your house, and then sometimes the screen, the weak screen will show. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes it won't show, and then you'll leave, and then you'll get immediately sent back into your house for no explainable reason, just so it can show you the weekly playlist screen. And sometimes it will show it, you'll leave, and then the game will freak out and put you back into your house, just to show you the screen again. Also, there is still some physics moments. But they're kind of few and far between, and the situations that crazy physics moments will happen in. Are just, weird random situations. But they're not common. Like, they'll happen here and there. And they have fixed some of the issues that I had that were really common. Like, in the background for this section, you may have seen a Porsche Cayenne or a Porsche. No, it was a Porsche Macan Rally raid within the stage area. And another one you might have seen me getting respawned after an event, same as like the Porsche, but I'm under a building and I have to drive out from under the building. Those they have fixed. I've not had those kind of issues since. There was one other similar issue that I had recently, but it wasn't like huge. And it didn't really affect the game that much, but it was still a bit of a thing. You might even see it in this. And I was in a VW Golf, and it got stuck underneath a something. Or it got stuck underneath, I think it was like a ramp, and I couldn't back out. And then my teammate got stuck under the ramp, and he couldn't get out. But we'd won the thing already. But that was because the car sort of fell a little bit through the map. And the crashes, I will not say I've not had crashes, but I've not had a crash in a quite long time. And they seem to have gotten the crashes fixed. So, with those out of the way, now on to what I would call the ugly. Quick editor's note. After recording that part of the video, I remembered something with the music that I forgot to mention. So, it got repetitive to the point that I have turned off the music actually in the game completely. Like no radio, so no radio, no festival speakers. It's actually the radio volume is set all the way to 0, and I just have it in streamer mode all the time. And I have Sirius XM, so I just pull up their web player and play BPM while I'm driving around, basically. So, finally, we move on to the ugly, or as I more appropriately call it, the things that I really want to see change. And we're going to start off with the online. So, the online, aside from the lag, the online itself is good. The problem is, with me, at least, once you've started matchmaking, you have no real idea if it's actually working. Because, for example, in 4, you could be matchmaking and the game would just freak out and randomly stop. It would just stop matchmaking, and then you have to go back in and you have to restart it. Restart matchmaking for something. Basically, it shows you, gives you the countdown to the start, gives you the countdown for everybody to hit the button to ready up, and then nothing. And then you'll be driving along, and suddenly it will just say, alert, match has been found. And then comes the hurdle of the game trying to get the car to stop and then show you the vehicle selection screen. And sometimes there's a glitch that happens that actually also happened in 4, where it will take forever to load the vehicle selection screen. And if you're on Xbox, the easiest way that I had found was to just open the start menu up, and not the full dashboard, but just the start menu, and then eventually that would trigger it. And sometimes you'll be in a convoy, and out of nowhere, for no reason, you will be bumped from the convoy. No, not like somebody kicked you. Literally, you'll just be booted from the convoy by the game. Occasionally, there is still the connection issues. I already mentioned the lag, the occasional lag. Actually, the lag is kind of frequent and kind of concerning how often I have had lag in online, and then I'm back to, free roam, and then the lag's fine. It doesn't smooth again. There's just so much with the online that could be better, and I would really like to see them improve a lot more on the online. Even just simply adding in a thing that will show you, how long you've been matchmaking for, so that I'm still matchmaking, would be nice. And actually, I don't fully hate the online, because they did bring some stuff back, or at least in a roundabout way brought it back. Public convoys, which is akin to the private sessions of 3, where you can just make for a convoy to join and just mess around with people, or just have some fun with the people in the public convoys. You can do that. But that isn't my biggest problem. My biggest issue is the festival playlist. And my issue with it really is the content. Sometimes the content feels like a joke. Examples. Season 2, there was a week where the car, where one of the reward cars was a Ferrari 458 GTB, which you can get on the auto show for $250K. Another week, there was a trial reward that was the Hoonigan Kazi V2, which you can get. Actually, you're guaranteed to get it if you've played any of the game, basically, because that car is given to you after the very first showcase in the game. You're just given it. There's like, here, take it, free. The week that this is being recorded, the trial reward is a super wheel spin. If I really wanted a super wheel spin, I could just go over to the Forzathon playlist and get one for $300. The rewards don't make sense. Also, although they have actually fixed it a bit, sometimes some of the things, some of the challenges would not work if you'd already done all of them. So like, there was a Horizon Story one where you had to go do a specific story, but if you'd already done it, it wouldn't count. There was one where you had to go do Trailblazers. If you'd already starred them, they wouldn't count. There was the auto show, not the auto show, the Forza-thon shop with season 1. For the first week of season 1, I distinctly remember being not available for the first week of season 1. Also, I should mention this really quickly with the trial stuff. The reason why I'm angry at those trial rewards is because the trial is claimed to be the hardest content in the game. Because it is versus unbeatable AI. And actually, there's another one I can mention with the trial that was very broken. 1 week, they had no class restriction. They had a category, or it was a category, but you couldn't actually select the category, so you just had to see what was in the restriction list. But there was no class restriction, so you had people bringing X-Class Sesto Elementos and X-Class Sennas, all these different X-Class cars in, and then that means the AI would be an X-Class, because how PI works with them is, or with all the events, is the PI scales with the people in the event. So you'd have an almost full, team of X-Class people, so that means all the AI would be in X-Class cars. You just have all sorts of stuff that's happened. The trial, or not trial, the seasonal championships can vary. Seasonal championships are fine for the most part. What I'm trying to think of is the seasonal challenges. So like the speed zones, drift zone, those kind of challenges. They can vary from a walk in the park to extremely infuriating. Another one, actually, I have my own trial. So they did something to help with people basically sandbagging in the trial just to get the car and let other people carry them. Which, if you're just sitting in the back and expecting everybody in front of you to do all the work and have all the upgraded cars for you, well, you just pedal near the back, that's not cool. If you're near the back because you maybe slightly suck at the game, or you're slightly stuck at the cars, or you upgraded a car, but you upgraded the wrong car and it wasn't the right car to use, but you're still trying, that I'm fine with. The people that intentionally sit back there and just be lazy and not try and race, those are the people I have a problem with. But they tried to alleviate this from 4 by making it so you had to complete the Hall of Fame, which is basically the story mode, or the story of the game, to get access to the trial. What I think they should have done is made it so you had to prestige to get into the trial. And yeah. So we are going to now move on to the conclusion. So now it is time to wrap up this video. And I'm going to give you all my score. My score is a 6 out of 10. It's one below what I gave Horizon 4. And before really thinking about it a lot, I was actually going to give this a 5. But I think it's more of a 6 out of 10 game because it's not super terrible. It's not to that point where I think it deserved the 5 out of 10. I think the 6 out of 10 is more respectable, or is more what it is. It is to me a 6 out of 10 game. Because at the core, if you took all the junk off of it, you have really good driving, you have really good drifting, and you have a lot of really fun things to do. But all the stuff that they've added on top of it, plus what's honestly just a very big lack of content to aim for. Whether it be because they're holding everything back until the first DLC comes out, or whether it be there's not enough cars to go around and go into the game. Whether it be either of those, it just kind of detracts from the game a lot. And graphics and the core driving, while they may be great, as I've said, they've added all this stuff on top, and they basically sucked everything out aside from like the online stuff and like Horizon Tour, because they want you to focus on the festival playlist. And that's where they want all their players is doing, or a majority of their players is doing that. And yeah. So that's why right now it is a 6 out of 10 for me. Also because it does improve on Horizon 4 a bit. It's just all the things are just like it's on par with 4. But yeah. So well, this has been my first one of these long reviews. This video was actually partially scripted and then partially kind of ad-libbed. I'm gonna improve on this some more, because I really enjoy doing these reviews and they're a blast for me to do. But with that being said, thank you guys all for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed, and if you did, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and bye for now. Peace.